Friday night was supposed to be simple. Emily and I were heading to the Ivy, a spot we often visited with our group of friends. I wasn't in the mood to socialize. Honestly, work had been eating at me, and I wanted nothing more than to stay home, crack open a beer, and binge. Something brainless, but Emily had insisted we need to get out more. Jack, she said, already slipping into her sleek black dress and applying her signature red lipstick. Her tone didn't leave room for argument. By the time we arrived, the place was buzzing. Our usual group was there. Chloe, Emily's best friend, always overly dramatic, Jason, the loud joker, and a few others who floated in and out of the circle. Emily, as usual, stole the spotlight. She glided through conversations, laughing and leaning in. Just a bit too close to people. She was magnetic, she knew it. I tried to join in, but it was like I was invisible. Every joke I made landed flat every time I tried to start a conversation. Emily would cut in with something sharper, something that would pull the attention back to her. It wasn't unusual for her to dominate the room, but tonight it felt different. Her laughter was louder, her touches lingered longer, and her eyes, they didn't land on me. Once halfway through the night, I noticed her phone. It sat face down on the table, buzzing intermittently each time Emily would glance at it, and smile a smile I hadn't seen directed at me in months. She didn't pick it up, though, just let it buzz, like she was savoring some private joke. Who keeps texting you? I asked, trying to sound casual. Emily didn't even look up work stuff at this hour. She finally glanced at me, her eyes cold and dismissive. It's a campaign, deadlines, don't clock out Jack. Can we not? I let it drop, but something twisted in my gut. Then came the toast. Emily stood abruptly, clinking her glass with a spoon. Everyone turned toward her, expecting a funny story or one of her usual sharp-witted roasts. Instead, she raised her glass and said to Jack, the man who well honestly puts up with more than anyone should, cheers to patience. The room fell silent for a beat before Jason broke it with a forced laugh. The others followed, but I wasn't laughing. I was frozen. Her words weren't playful. They were pointed, gripping with some inside joke I wasn't privy to. I wanted to call her out right then and there, but the room was watching, waiting for my reaction, so I plastered on a thin smile and raised my glass inside. I felt like I'd been slapped when she finally sat down. I leaned in close. What the hell was that about? She didn't even flinch. Relax, Jack. It's a joke. You need to lighten up. Humiliating me in front of our friends is a joke. Before she could answer, her phone buzzed again. She grabbed it this time, her thumb moving quickly across the screen as she typed, "I need some air." I muttered, standing abruptly. I walked outside into the cool night, the murmur of the bar fading as I stepped further away. My mind was racing. Was I overreacting? Maybe I was just being paranoid, but that toast, it wasn't normal. Before I could piece my thoughts together, my phone vibrated in my pocket, a message from Emily. "Are you okay? You know I love you, right?" I stared at the screen, my pulse quickening. The words were hollow, wrong, like she was trying to plate me instead of actually caring. And for the first time, I didn't reply. Something was happening, something she wasn't telling me, and I was going to find out what it was. After Emily's half-hearted text, I walked back into the bar. The air inside felt different now, like a room where everyone knew a secret except me. Emily was back at the table, her phone conspicuously absent. She was deep in conversation with Chloe, who kept glancing at me with an odd mix of amusement and pity. Whatever they were talking about, I wasn't supposed to hear it. Jason flagged me down with a wave. "Jack, man, grab another drink. You look like you've seen a ghost." I forced a chuckle and waved him off, heading straight to the bar. I ordered a whiskey, something to steel my nerves, and kept my eyes on Emily. Her laugh carried over the crowd, sharp and pointed. It wasn't for me. I wasn't sure what I was looking for. Maybe a crack in her facade, a slip that would explain why everything suddenly felt so off. And then I saw it. Chloe slid Emily's phone across the table. Emily looked at it for a split second, then quickly turned it face down again, biting her lip as if to stifle a smile. I couldn't take it anymore. I walked over, my heart pounding, and leaned in. "We're leaving now." Emily looked up, her expression blank. "We just got here, don't be such a buzzkill." Chloe smirked, sipping her drink. Oh, come on, Jack. Let her have some fun. She's been working so hard lately that pushed me over the edge. Emily, let's go, or I will. She rolled her eyes, tossing her napkin onto the table. Fine, if it's that important to you. We left without saying goodbye to anyone, her heels clicking sharply against the pavement as we walked to the car. The silence between us was suffocating when we got in. She crossed her arms, staring out the window like a scolded teenager. What the hell is going on, Emily? I finally said. She turned to me, her eyes narrowing. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. The toast. The texts, the way you've been acting for weeks. What's going on? Her lips curled into a smile, a cruel one. God, Jack, you're so paranoid. Not everything is about you. You know, I gripped the steering wheel. My knuckles white. Then what is it about? Because it sure as hell feels like you're hiding something. She didn't answer. Instead, she turned her head back to the window, dismissing me entirely. I clenched my teeth and started the car. When we got home, Emily went straight to the bathroom, locking the door behind her. I stood in the living room staring at her purse, which she tossed carelessly onto the couch. My hands were shaking, my mind racing. I don't know what came over me, but I opened it. Her phone wasn't there. Of course, she'd taken it with her, but her work tablet was, and it was unlocked. I hesitated for a moment, my conscience screaming at me to stop, but that little voice, the one that said you already know something's wrong. Jack, just confirm. It was louder. I opened her messages. Nothing. Email, all work-related. I was about to close it when I noticed an app one didn't recognize, something innocuous. Looking a name I'd never seen before, I tapped it and my blood ran cold. The first message I saw was from a number with no name. Saved him last night, was amazing. Can't stop thinking about you, Emily, me too. Same time next week. I scrolled up, my hands trembling. The messages were blatant, leaving no room for misinterpretation. Every line was like a dagger, confirming what I had been too afraid to say out loud, and then I heard the bathroom door unlock. Emily walked into the living room, drying her hands on a towel, and froze when she saw me holding her tablet. Her eyes darted to the screen. What the hell are you doing? She snapped, her voice sharp. I stood up, my chest heaving. What is this? Emily, I held the tablet out. The messages glaring back at her. Her expression flickered just for a moment before settling into something cold. Detached, she crossed her arms, her lip curling into that same cruel smile. Are you seriously going through my stuff now? God, Jack, you're pathetic. Don't you dare turn this on me, I growled. You've been lying to me for how long? Emily, weeks, months. Her silence was deafening. Then she shrugged, her tone icy. Does it matter? That was the moment my world shattered. Her words hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. Does it matter? I stared at Emily, barely able to comprehend what she had just said. My chest felt tight, my hand still gripping the tablet like it was the only thing keeping me upright. What the hell does that mean? Emily, of course it matters. She rolled her eyes, like this was some minor inconvenience for her. Jack, you're overreacting. It's not a big deal. I could feel the heat rising in my face. Not a big deal. You're sneaking around behind my back, messaging some guy about whatever this is, and you think it's not. A big deal. Her smile returned sharp and condescending. Okay, fine, you want the truth. Yes, I've been seeing someone, and honestly, I don't even know why you're so shocked. You've been checked out for months. I took a step back. Like her words had physically hit me. Checked out. Are you serious? I've been working my ass off to keep this house, this life, us together. Meanwhile, you're off doing this. I held up the tablet, shaking it for emphasis. Emily shrugged again, unbothered. Well, maybe if you'd paid a little more attention to me, I wouldn't have had to look elsewhere. That was it. Something inside me snapped. I slammed the tablet down on the coffee table, the sound echoing through the room. Don't you dare try to pin this on me. You made this choice. Emily, you decided to lie, to betray me. That's on you. She didn't flinch, her expression stone cold. Oh, spare me the self-righteous act, Jack. You're not exactly a saint. You've been so obsessed with your precious job that you didn't even notice I was unhappy. You don't talk to me. You don't make me feel wanted. What did you expect? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Unhappy. You could have talked to me. Emily told me how you felt. You didn't have to blow up our marriage because you were feeling neglected. Emily laughed, a bitter, humorless sound. Talk to you, please. You don't listen. Jack, you just nod and go back to your emails or whatever else is so important to you. Face it. We've been done for a while. You're just too blind to see it. Her words felt like knives, each one cutting deeper than the last. My legs gave out, and I sank into the armchair, staring at her in disbelief. So that's it. You've just decided it's over, and instead of telling me, you sneak around behind my back. Was it worth it? Emily, was he worth it? For the first time, her confidence wavered. She looked away, her jaw tightening. I don't owe you an explanation. Like hell you don't, I shouted, standing up again. Who is he, tell me? She hesitated, then let out a long sigh, as if she were bored with the whole conversat. Ion, fine, if you must know, it's Matt from work. Matt, I knew him. He was one of the marketing guys. Emily occasionally mentioned someone she'd always described as harmless and kind of a dork. My fists clenched at the thought of him, smug and oblivious, texting my wife while I was busting my ass to keep us afloat. That's who you're risking everything for, Matt. My voice dripped with disbelief. Emily smirked. He listens to me. Jack, he makes me feel appreciated, something you clearly forgot how to do. Her words were venom, and I was choking on it. Appreciated? You think he appreciates you? He's using you. Emily, just like you're using him, and when this all blows up in your face, don't come crawling back to me for the first time. She looked genuinely angry. You think you're so much better, don't you? Like you're some perfect husband. Newsflash. Jack, you're not. You're boring. Predictable and frankly exhausting. I needed something more. I felt like the floor was crumbling beneath me. This wasn't just betrayal, it was complete annihilation of everything I thought we had. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. You're unbelievable. You've destroyed us, Emily. And for what? For someone who's probably already planning his next fling. She shrugged again, that infuriating indifference returning. Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't, at least with him. I feel alive. That word echoed in my mind, mocking me. Get out, I said, my voice low and cold. Her eyebrows shot up. Excuse me, I said, get out, Emily. Go stay with your precious Matt. Go feel alive with him. Just get out of my house for a moment. She looked like she might argue, then she grabbed her purse and her keys, her movements deliberate and slow. Fine, I'll go, but don't think for a second. This is all on me. Jack, you pushed me to this. I didn't respond, couldn't. I just watched as she walked out the door, slamming it behind her. The silence that followed was deafening. I sat back down, staring at the tablet on the table, the messages still glaring at me like a wound that refused to heal, and for the first time in years I felt completely and utterly alone. The house was eerily silent the next morning. Emily's perfume still lingered faintly in the air, a mocking reminder that she had once been here, walking these same floors, sharing this life. Now she was gone off to wherever Matt was. I assumed I barely slept. My mind raced all night, replaying every word, every moment, from the argument, her indifference, her cruel smile, the way she walked out as if this was just another petty fight and not the total obliteration of our marriage. It was like she'd been planning her exit for months, and I just caught up by 7 miles Betrayal. I couldn't stand lying in bed any longer. I got up, pulled on an old hoodie, and went to the kitchen. The coffee pot sputtered weakly as it brewed, and I stared blankly at it. My thoughts looping was, I truly that blind? Had I missed all the signs? Or had Emily just gotten that good at lying? Then my phone buzzed. I grabbed it instinctively, hoping for I don't even know what an apology. A shred of guilt. Instead, it was a text from Jason. Jason, dude, are you okay? Last night was intense. I didn't respond. What could I say instead? I scrolled through my contacts, stopping on Chloe's name. Something about her smug little smile, SM at the bar, stuck with me. She knew she had to before I could overthink it. I called Jack. Chloe answered, her voice groggy. It's early. What's up, you tell me? I said flatly, you seemed pretty cozy with Emily last night. Care to fill me in on what the hell is going on? There was a pause, then a sigh. Jack, I don't want to get involved in this. It's between you and Emily. Don't pull that crap, Chloe. You've been her best friend for years. You knew about Matt, didn't you? Another pause, longer this time, then look. Emily told me some things in confidence. I didn't think it was my place to say anything, so you just sat there smiling like the cat who swallowed the canary while she made a fool out of me. My voice rose despite my efforts to stay calm. Chloe groaned. Jack, don't do this. You've got your side of the story, but Emily, she's been unhappy for a long time. You had to see this coming. The words hit like a punch to the gut. See it coming? What are you even talking about? She felt ignored, Jack. Like she didn't matter. You were so wrapped up in your own world that you didn't notice hers falling apart. That's no excuse, I snapped. If she was unhappy, she could have talked to me instead of running off to some SLE ball from work. Maybe she should have, Chloe said, her tone sharper now. But let's not pretend you're blameless here. Relationships take two. Jack, I couldn't take it anymore. You know what for? Get it, enjoy covering for her. You're just as bad as she is. I hung up before she could respond, my heart pounding. The room felt smaller, suffocating. Chloe's words echoed in my mind. Mixing with Emily's from the night before, was I really the problem? Had I missed something so obvious? But no, this wasn't on me. I didn't betray her. I didn't lie, sneak around, or humiliate her in front of our friends. I wasn't perfect, sure, but I didn't deserve this. The anger started bubbling up again, and I grabbed my phone, scrolling down to Emily's contact. My finger hovered over the call button. Part of me wanted to scream at her, demand answers, force her to confront the mess she'd made. Instead, I texted me, "You're going to come by and get your stuff. Tell me when I don't want to see you, so make sure I'm not here." Her response came almost immediately. "Emily, I'll figure it out. Don't worry, I don't want to see you either." That one hurt more than I expected. Even now, she couldn't muster an ounce of regret or kindness. I stared at the screen for a long time, the coffee in my mug growing cold for the first time since all this started. I felt something heavier than anger, heavier than betrayal. I felt grief for the life we built, for the person I thought she was, for the version of me that believed in us even when the cracks started to show. And as the morning light streamed through the window, I realized this wasn't just the end of my marriage. It was the end of who I'd been for the last 6 years. Be midday, the house was quiet, but my mind wasn't. I couldn't sit still. I tried cleaning, scrubbing dishes that were already spotless, folding laundry I didn't even need. But nothing helped. Every corner of this house held some memory of Emily, and each one fell. Like a knife twisting deeper, the tablet sat on the coffee table like a ghost. Its screen dark now, but the messages etched into my brain last night was amazing. Her reply, same time next week. My hands shook just thinking about it. She planned to keep this going like our life together. I was nothing more than an inconvenient backdrop. I decided to dig, grabbing the tablet again. I dove into her apps, her messages, her emails. I knew it wouldn't change anything, but I needed answers. I needed to understand how far this went. Her calendar was the first thing that caught my eye, dates marked with innocuous little notes, meeting, late dinner, office event. But they didn't line up with the rest of her schedule. These weren't real work events, they were cover-ups. My stomach churned as I realized how much effort she'd put into deceiving me. Then the emails, most of them were work-rated, but a few stood out ones. From Matt, looking forward to tonight, should we take separate cars again? Emily, yeah, can't have Jack getting suspicious, LOL. I nearly threw the tablet across the room. It wasn't just betrayal, it was mockery. She knew exactly what she was doing, and she didn't care. But the worst part, it wasn't just about the affair anymore, it was about how little I mattered to her, how easily she could laugh about the lies she'd woven. As I sat there, staring at the screen, my phone buzzed. Another message from Jason. "Jason, dude, you sure you're okay? We're here if you need anything." Jason, always the loyal friend, he was clueless about the depth of this mess, but I couldn't bring myself to explain it all. Instead, I replied, "Me not great, man. But thanks, I'll be fine." I wouldn't be fine, though. Not for a while. The rest of the day passed in a blur. At some point I tried to eat but couldn't stomach it. My thoughts kept circling back to Emily, to the lies, to the cold indifference in her eyes when she left. How could someone who once claimed to love me become this stranger? And then in the late afternoon I heard her car pull into the driveway. Panic shot through me. She wasn't supposed to come back today. I hadn't had time to clear out the emotions still roiling inside me. The front door opened and there she was, standing in the hallway like nothing had happened. "I'm here for my stuff," she said, her tone flat. "I car." Ost my arm, staying rooted in place. "You couldn't have called first." Her eyes flicked to me, a flash of irritation. Crossing her face, "I didn't think I needed your permission." "Jack, you didn't," I said coldly, "but a heads up would have been nice. You made it pretty clear you don't want to see me. Remember Emily?" Shrugged, stepping past me toward the bedroom. "I'll be quick." I followed her, keeping my distance, but unable to stop myself from watching her. Every move, she grabbed clothes from the closet, her hands mechanical, her expression unreadable as she packed. I couldn't help myself, so that's it. No explanation, no apology, just packing up. Like this is some casual breakup. She paused, a dress in her hands, and looked at me. "What do you want me to say, Jack? That I'm sorry, that I regret it? Because I don't. I did what I had to do. What you had to do." I nearly laughed, though there was no humor in it. "You mean lying to me, humiliating me, throwing our life away for what, a fling?" Emily's eyes narrowed. "You don't get it, do you? This wasn't about Matt. It was about me, finally realizing I deserved to be happy, and you were never going to make me happy." Her words hit like a sledgehammer, knocking the air out of me. "You think this makes you happy, sneaking around, lying, destroying everything we built together?" She turned away, throwing the dress into her suitcase. "I didn't come here to fight. Just let me pack and leave." I stood there shaking with anger and disbelief. "You're a coward, Emily. You didn't do what you had to do. You took the easy way out instead of fixing things. You ran. And the worst part, you don't even care." For the first time I saw something crack in her expression, something like guilt, though she quickly buried it. "Believe what you want, Jack. But I'm done explaining myself to you," and just like that, she zipped up her suitcase, grabbed it, and walked out the door without another word. I didn't follow, I didn't yell, I didn't cry. I just stood there, frozen, listening to the sound of her car pulling out of the driveway and disappearing into the distance. It was over, really over. But in that moment I realized something. I didn't just lose her. I lost the illusion of who she was. And maybe that was what hurt the most. The silence that followed Emily's departure wasn't peaceful. It was suffocating. The house felt like it had swallowed me whole. Everywhere I turned, there were reminders of her. Her favorite mug still on the counter, the throw blanket she always curled up and draped over the couch, the faint scent of her perfume still clinging to the bedroom curtains. I sat in the living room staring at the empty space where her suitcase had been. My thoughts spiral in anger, mixed with grief, swirling together into something darker. How had I missed this? How had I been so blind to the cracks she claimed had been there all along? Her words kept playing on a loop in my head. "You were never going to make me happy. I deserve to be happy. You pushed me to this." It was maddening, as if she were the victim in all of this, as if her betrayal was somehow justified because I wasn't enough. I needed an outlet, anything to stop the thoughts from eating me alive. Without thinking, I grabbed my keys and headed out the door, the cold evening air hitting me like a slap. I drove aimlessly for a while, not caring where I ended up. The roads blurred together, the city lights smearing across the windshield. Eventually I found myself parked outside a bar, not the Ivy, thank God, but a small dingy place I'd never been to before. Inside, the air was thick with smoke and the smell of stale beer. It wasn't exactly inviting, but that didn't matter. I ordered a whiskey and found a corner booth, keeping my head down as the drink burned its way down my throat. I pulled out my phone against my better judgment. I opened Emily's social media. She hadn't posted anything yet. No cryptic quotes, no carefully curated photos of her new life, but that didn't mean she wasn't out there somewhere, already crafting the perfect narrative for herself. Then a thought struck me. I didn't even hesitate. I searched for his profile, and there he was. Smug, smiling, the kind of guy who probably spent more time perfecting his hair than doing actual work. His posts were the usual mix of gym selfies, marketing conference snapshots, and cringe-worthy motivational quotes. But as I scrolled, I noticed something, a post from last week tagged at a restaurant. I didn't recognize. The caption read, "Great night with even better company, wine glass." And there it was. Emily's name tagged in the comments alongside a heart emoji. My grip on the glass tightened until I thought it might shatter. This wasn't some fleeting mistake. This was planned. Deliberate. They weren't even trying to hide it anymore. "Rough night," a voice said, pulling me out of my thoughts. I looked up to see the bartender, a middle-aged man with a weathered face, standing near my table. He nodded toward my nearly empty glass. "You look like you could use another." I nodded, and he returned with a fresh pour. "You want to talk about it?" he asked, leaning against the booth. Normally I would have brushed him off, but tonight I couldn't hold it. My wife cheated on me," I said bluntly, with some guy from her office. He whistled low, shaking his head. "That's tough, man. You confront her." "Oh, I did," I said, the bitterness in my voice unmistakable. She didn't even deny it, acted like it was my fault, like I drove her to it. The bartender frowned, his expression hardening. People like that, they don't know how to take responsibility. Easier to blame someone else. I nodded, grateful for his words, even though they didn't dull the ache. I don't know what to do. Now she's gone, but it doesn't feel like it's over." He tapped the edge of the table thoughtfully. "It won't feel over until you decide it is people like her. They'll drag you down if you let them. Don't give her that power." His words lingered as I finished my drink, and for the first time that night, I felt a flicker of clarity. Emily had taken so much from me. My trust, my peace, my sense of stability, but she wasn't going to take my future. I left the bar with a resolve I hadn't felt before. There were still battles ahead, divorce papers splitting up our lives, facing the inevitable questions from friends and family. But one thing was certain. Emily had made her choice. Now it was my turn to make mine. I was done being a casualty in her story. The next morning, I woke up to the kind of clarity that only comes after hitting rock bottom. Emily's words still stung, but something had shifted. She wasn't here to manipulate the narrative anymore, to twist my guilt and insecurities into something she could use. This was my story now, and I had decisions to make. The first call I made was to a lawyer. I need to start the divorce process. I said the words, tasting bitter but necessary. The lawyer, a no-nonsense woman named Claire, asked for the details. I told her everything: Emily's affair, her cold dismissal of our marriage, and her complete lack of remorse. Claire didn't flinch. She'd clearly heard worse, but her cold professionalism was exactly what I needed. "Gather any documents you have," she said. "Bank statements, joint accounts, property, deeds, anything that ties the two of you together financially. And if you have evidence of her infidelity that could help with negotiations, the evidence, those texts from Matt, the messages on her tablet, they were more than enough part of me." Hesitated, wondering if it was too cruel to use them against her. But then I remembered her laughing at my expense, dismissing me as a footnote in her pursuit of happiness. I wasn't going to play fair, not anymore with Claire's guidance. I spent the next few hours digging through every shared document, every email, every file that connected Emily and me. It felt clinical, like dissecting the corpse of our relationship, but it also felt empowering. For the first time in weeks, I was taking control. Then the second strike, I texted Jason. "Me need to talk. Can we meet, Jason?" Of course, my place in an hour. An hour later, I was sitting on Jason's couch spilling everything. He listened quietly, his usual joking demeanor replaced with a rare seriousness. "Man," he said when I finished, "I had no idea it was that bad." "Emily, she really did that to you?" "Yeah," I said, staring at the floor, "and she didn't even care. She left like it was just another day." Jason leaned back, running a hand through his hair. "That's cold, Jack, really cold. But you know what? You're handling it better than I would have." "I'd have lost it." I managed a weak smile. "Oh, don't worry, I've had my moment." Jason hesitated, then said, "You know Chloe's been acting weird too, right?" Like, I don't know if she's in on this whole thing with Emily, but something's off my stomach. Turned Chloe, Emily's best friend. Her confidant, the one who had smirked at me the night of the bar, she knew more than she let on. I was sure of it. Do you think she knew? I asked Jason. Nodded slowly. If she didn't, I'd be shocked. Chloe and Emily are thick. His thieves. If Emily was sneaking around, Chloe was probably covering for her. That settled it. Chloe was next on my list. The confrontation later that afternoon, I called Chloe. She answered on the second ring. Her voice overly bright, like she'd been expecting me. Well, if it isn't Jack. How's life in the drama zone? Cut the crap, Chloe. I said, my voice sharp. We need to talk in person. She hesitated, her playful tone faltering. Sure. What's this about? You know exactly what it's about. There was silence on the other end. Then a sigh. Fine, meet me at the coffee shop on 5th. When I arrived, Chloe was already there, sipping an iced latte and scrolling through her phone like she didn't have a care in the world. She glanced up as I approached her, expression guarded, so she said, setting her drink down. What's on your mind? You knew, I said. Sitting across from her, you knew about Emily and Matt. Didn't you, Chloe? Didn't flinch. She leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms. What if I did? What difference does it make? Now my fists clenched under the table. It makes a difference because you helped her. You lied for he. Oh, you let her humiliate me, and you didn't say a damn thing. Chloe sighed, rolling her eyes. Jack, you're blowing this out of proportion. Emily was miserable. She needed an escape. I didn't agree with how she handled it. But it wasn't my place to intervene. Not your place, I said, my voice rising. You sat there laughing with her while she lied to my face. How is that not your place? Chloe leaned forward, her tone turning icy. Look, Jack, I get it, you're hurt. But maybe you should be asking yourself why Emily felt like she couldn't be honest with you in the first place. Relationships don't just fall apart for no reason. That was the last straw. I stood up, glaring down at her. You can defend her all you want, Chloe. But when this is all over and she moves on to the next escape, don't come crawling back with excuses. You chose your side without waiting for a response. I turned and walked out of the coffee shop, the sound of my footsteps echoing in my ears as I stepped into the cold air. I realized I didn't just lose Emily. I'd lost Chloe too, or maybe I never really had her, but I didn't care. The pieces were falling into place now, and I wasn't going to let anyone else rewrite the story of what happened. The days after my confrontation with Chloe were a whirlwind of emotions. Anger and betrayal still coursed through me. But now they were joined by something heavier: determination. This wasn't just about surviving Emily's betrayal anymore. This was about reclaiming my life piece by piece. I threw myself into the divorce preparations. CLA worked quickly, filing the necessary paperwork and advising me on every move. The process was grueling, like unraveling a tapestry I'd spent years weaving. Every account closed, every asset divided, every memory catalogued. It all felt like dismantling the life I thought I had. But the hardest part was the silence. Emily didn't call, didn't text. It was as if she'd erased me from her life overnight, and maybe that's what stung the most. How easily she walked away, leaving behind nothing but chaos and unanswered questions. Then one evening I got a call from an unknown number. Hello, I answered, my voice cautious. Jack, it was Emily. I gripped the phone tightly, my chest tightening. What do you want? Her voice was calm, almost detached. Claire sent me the divorce papers. I just wanted to let you know I'll be signing them. No need to drag this out. Her tone was so cold, so transactional, it sent a fresh wave of anger through me. That's it. No explanation, no apology. Just a quick signature, and you're done. She sighed, the sound heavy with impatience. What do you want me to say, Jack? That I'm sorry, that I regret what happened? I don't. This was inevitable. Inevitable, I repeated, my voice shaking. You cheated on me. Emily, you lied to my face for months, and now you're acting like this was some natural progression. Like I deserved it. There was a long pause, then I didn't call to fight. I called to make this easier. You want your closure? Fine, I'm signing the papers. End of story. Closure? I laughed bitterly. You think signing a piece of paper gives me closure? You think it erases everything you've done. Her voice hardened. You're the one who wanted this over with. Now it is. Stop dragging it out, Jack. It's pathetic. And then she hung up. I stood there, the silence of the call cutting deeper than her words. This wasn't just indifference, it was cruelty. She wanted me to feel small, powerless. And for a moment I did. But only for a moment. A revelation after the call. I paced the house, her words echoing in my mind. Something wasn't adding up. If Emily was so eager to move on, why call it all? Why not just sign the papers and be done with it? And then it hit me. She wasn't in control anymore, and she hated it. Signing those papers wasn't just an end to our marriage, it was the end of her control over me. That realization gave me strength. I sat down with Claire the next day and went over every detail of the divorce settlement. Don't let her walk away unscathed. I said, my voice firm. She doesn't get to destroy my life and keep everything intact. Claire nodded, her expression serious. We'll make sure this is fair, Jack, but be prepared. If she's as cold as you say, she'll fight back and fight back. She did. Emily contested almost every part of the settlement, from the house to the smallest shared assets. Her emails to CLA were laced with venom, accusing me of being spiteful and petty, but I didn't cave, not this time. The breaking point: a week later, I got another call, this time from Chloe. I just thought you should know, she said, her voice dripping with fake concern. Emily's been telling people you're trying to ruin her life. She's saying you're dragging out the divorce to punish her. I laughed, a sharp, humorless sound. Of course she is. That's her mo, isn't it? Play the victim, make everyone else the bad guy. Chloe hesitated, then said, look, Jack, I know you're angry. You don't know anything. I snapped, you're just as complicit in this as she is, so don't call me pretending to care. I hung up before she could respond. That night, something inside me shifted. I wasn't going to let Emily or her allies paint me as the villain. I wasn't going to let them rewrite the story of my life. I opened my laptop, pulled up every piece of evidence. I had texts, emails, photos, and compiled them into a neat folder. It wasn't for revenge. It wasn't to hurt her. It was to protect myself, to make sure the truth was on my side if she tried to twist it any further. And when I was done, I sat back and took a deep breath. The anger was still there, the pain too. But for the first time, I felt a sense of control. Emily could try to rewrite the narrative, but I wasn't going to let her. This wasn't the ending she wanted, but it was the one she earned. 2 weeks later, the divorce negotiations reached a boiling point. Emily, true to form, wasn't just fighting to keep what she thought she was entitled to. She was fighting to keep control of the narrative her lawyer sent over an email claiming I was vindictive and unreasonable, accusing me of dragging out the process to make her life miserable. I forwarded it to Claire with a simple note. Me use everything we've got. Claire didn't hesitate. The next day, she submitted the evidence, screenshots of Emily's messages with Matt, the calendar entries that didn't match her work schedule, and even the financial records showing she'd spent our joint savings on what I could only assume were their little getaways by the end of the week. Emily's tone shifted. Her lawyer emailed a counter-proposal, one that was notably less aggressive. Claire smirked as she read it aloud. Looks like someone's had a change of heart. But I wasn't satisfied yet. This wasn't just about money or assets anymore. It was about truth. The dinner party bombshell that Friday, Jason and a few friends invited me over for dinner. They said it was to take my mind off things, but I knew they were also curious about the drama. It didn't matter, I needed a night out, even if the thought of facing everyone felt exhausting. When I arrived, Jason greeted me with his usual bear hug. Good to see you, man. You're looking better. More alive, thanks, I said, managing a small smile, surviving one day at a time. As the night went on, the wine flowed and the conversation inevitably turned to Emily. It was Jason who brought it up first, lowering his voice like he was sharing a dirty secret. So Chloe's been running her mouth, he said, glancing at me. Apparently Emily's been telling people you're out for blood. Let her, I said, leaning back in my chair. She's got nothing left to stand on. Jason raised an eyebrow. You seem calm about this. I've got receipts, I said, simply earning a few chuckles from the group. But the real surprise came when another friend, Lisa, chimed in. You know, I ran into Matt the other day. She said, her tone casual, but her eyes sharp. The room went silent. He didn't look too happy. Lisa continued swirling her wine, said things with Emily weren't exactly working out. I sat up straighter. What do you mean? Lisa shrugged. He didn't say much, just that it's complicated, but he definitely didn't seem. Like a man in love, the thought sent a surge of satisfaction through me. It was almost poetic. Emily had thrown everything away for Matt, and now even that was crumbling. But the real kicker came when Jason pulled out his phone. Speaking of receipts, he said, scrolling through his messages, check this out. He handed me his phone and my jaw tightened as I read the screen. It was a screenshot of a message Chloe had sent him earlier that day. Chloe, Emily's freaking out. Jack's got her backed into a corner. She thinks he's going to ruin her reputation. Jason smirked. Looks like she's sweating. I handed the phone back, a strange mix of satisfaction and sadness washing over me. Emily was unraveling, and part of me wanted to revel in it. But another part, the part that still remembered the good years, the laughter, the love felt. Hollow the final encounter, a few days later, I got a call from Emily. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. What do you want? I said. My tone colder than I intended, her voice was uncharacteristically soft. Jack, can we talk in person? Why, I asked, suspicion lacing my words, because she said, hesitating. I owe you an apology. I didn't trust her, but I agreed. We met at a neutral spot, a park we used to go to when things were good. She looked different, more subdued, the confidence, the sharpness. It was all gone, I've been thinking. She started, her eyes fixed on the ground, about everything, and I was wrong about you, about us. I fold my arms, not making it easy for her. Took you long enough, she flinched but continued. I don't expect you to forgive me. I needed to say, I'm sorry for the lies, for the way I treated you, for everything. For a moment I didn't know what to say. This was the apology I'd been waiting for, but now that it was here, it felt empty. I appreciate the apology, I said finally. But it doesn't change anything. You made your choices, Emily, and now we both have to live with them. She nodded, tears welling in her eyes. I know, I just don't. I said, cutting her off. You don't, Had to rewrite this. Not now, she looked at me, her expression crumbling, and for the first time I saw genuine regret. But it didn't matter anymore. I turned and walked away, leaving her standing there in the park, a ghost of the woman I once loved. As I drove home, a strange sense of peace settled over me. Emily had burned our life to the ground, but from the ashes I was starting to rebuild, and this time I was building something stronger. Something just for me. The finalization of the divorce came quietly. No dramatic courtroom battles, no fiery exchanges, just a few signatures, a few emails exchanged between lawyers, and the official confirmation that Emily and I were no longer bound by marriage. When I got the email from Claire that everything was done, I stared at the screen for a long moment. The words felt surreal. Something I had fought so hard to save was now just over. But instead of grief, I felt relief. The weight I had carried for months, years, really was finally gone. Cutting ties, the first thing I did was clear the house. I packed up every trace of Emily, her clothes. She hadn't bothered to collect her trinkets. Even the framed photos I hadn't been able to bring myself to look at. By the end of the day, the house felt emptier. But it also felt like mine. For the first time, I donated most of her things, but one box remained in the corner of the garage, taped shut and labeled with her name. If she wanted it, she could come get it. If not, it would stay there until I figured out what to do with it, or forgot about it entirely. Then I focused on myself. I started hitting the gym again. Something I hadn't done in at first. It was just a way to burn off the anger and frustration, but soon it became something more. I started feeling stronger. Not just physically, but mentally. Each weight lifted felt like a small victory. Each mile on the treadmill, a step away from the man I had been with her. I also reconnected with old friends, people I had neglected during my marriage. Jason, true to his word, stuck by me, dragging me out to social events and making sure I didn't wallow for too long. See, he said one night over beers, told you there's life after Emily. Yeah, I said, smiling for the first time in what felt like forever. You were right, the unexpected message one evening, a few weeks after the divorce was finalized. My phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Unknown Jack. It's Matt. Can we talk? I stared at the screen. My mind racing of all the people I expected to hear from. Matt was at the bottom of the list, against my better judgment. I replied, what could you possibly have to say to me? Matt, please, I just need 5 minutes. Curiosity won out. I agreed to meet him at a nearby coffee shop, not knowing what to expect when I arrived. Matt was already there, looking far less smug than I remembered. His shoulders were slumped, his face pale. He looked defeated. Thanks for coming, he said as I sat down. Make it quick, I replied, crossing my arms. He nodded, rubbing the back of his neck nervously. I wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. I didn't know Emily was married at first, and when I found out I should have walked away. But I didn't. I didn't say anything, letting the silence press on him. She lied to me too. He continued, his voice bitter. Made me think you were this horrible husband, that she was trapped in this miserable marriage. I believed her because I wanted to. My jaw tightened, but I stayed quiet, and now he said, letting out a hollow laugh. Now I see who she really is. She's already moved on to someone else, left me just like she left you. It was vindicating to hear, but I didn't let it show. What did you expect, Matt, that she'd cheat with you, but never cheat on you? He flinched, the truth hitting harder than I expected. I guess I deserve that, he said quietly. Yeah, I said, standing up, you did. But it's not my job to forgive you. That's your problem, not mine. I walked out, leaving him sitting there, a shadow of the man who had helped destroy my marriage. Looking forward that night, I sat on my porch, watching the sunset over the horizon. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. The anger, the bitterness, it was still there. But it didn't control me anymore. Emily was gone, the life we built was gone, but I was still here, and for the first time that felt like enough. I didn't have all the answers yet. I didn't know what my next steps would be, but I knew one thing for sure: I wasn't the same man who had stood by while Emily tore my life apart. I was stronger now, wiser, and ready to rebuild. This wasn't the ending I had wanted, but it was the one I needed. And as I watched the last rays of sunlight fade, I realized something else. The best parts of my story were still ahead of me.